Drawing faces can be tricky, but there's a pretty cool trick to help us understand how proportions work. And to get the face right, it's really important to get the proportions. So it doesn't matter if you're kind of making up your own characters or if you're drawing from life or from a photo, this little trick will help. And I'll tell you, it's all in the eyes. So facial proportions. The eyes have it because we basically can measure our whole head and face with the eye. The one thing that people get a little confused by is, when we have hair, we just automatically kind of seem to assume that the eyes are much higher up on the face. We are actually right in the middle. We're in the halfway mark. You don't believe me? Right here's our halfway mark. So let's say, and folding is one of the easiest ways to figure this out. I kind of quite often like to go right to the edge. So let's say this is my very end. This is the top of my head. Basically, fold it. You get your middle mark. And your eyes pretty much right in the half. So we've got the bottom of the eye right in the halfway mark. This one's a little bit above. Everyone will be slightly different. And one of the amazing things is we seem to naturally know if a person's eyes seem larger or if a person's nose seems longer. We have a natural sense of proportion, believe it or not. So our eyes are in the middle and our ears basically match up with the center of our eyes. At the top of our ears and the bottom of our ears match up with generally the bottom of our nose. Our mouths match up. So if we were looking like straight out, our mouths match up with the center of our eyes. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so let's do an eye measurement because this is the tricky part too. So I'm just going to use the whole other side of the paper. So this is the width of our eye. And generally, oh no, I will use my pen. Okay, so generally, the space between our eyes is the same width as our eye. So you can see it ends here. This eye starts here, right? Now, the width of our head can vary a little more between people. Some people have a lot more going on here, a little bit less, but generally, if you put the eye on the side, sorry, the height of the eye, that's kind of the space between your eye and the edge of your head. Okay, so it's a little tricky when you want to go. So let's say this is I'm going to make a more obvious sight line on this sketch here. This is the center of our eye line, I should say. So this is the eye line right here. So the width of our nose is usually about an eye and maybe like a third. So say that's a third, and that's generally where we're at. Our mouths can vary, but usually it's like the bottom of your mouth is usually the width of your eye, and your chin is going to be another eye length, right? We want to prove it. I figured we'd bring this lady into it. I'm going to grab another scrap of paper. I'm going to scribble on her poor face. We all know Taylor Swift, I'm sure. So we're going to, so she's looking downwards just a little bit, which means we can see more of the top of her head. But it's about the most face-on picture I found. Okay, so this is the eye line. I'm going from the very tips, edge of her eye, to here. And you can see because she's looking down a little bit, her ears are kind of up here, aren't they? All right. So let's measure her eyes. make sure I get. So her eyes are kind of on a nice, they have this cute little angle kind of downward. So this is the width of her eye. Yep. And her other eye is the same, maybe slightly smaller. See that? Yep. Oh, well, you know, so let's say this is her eye measurement. It never hurts to go back and recheck. Yeah, so these are the correct lines right here. Okay, so how's her nose doing? Her cute little nose. So if we go from this measurement here, so this is an eye length, and of course because she's looking down so subtly, her nose will appear a little longer. So I would say it looks like it's like an eye and a half. If she was looking up just a little bit, you know, nodding her chin up a little bit more, I think it would be like an eye and a quarter. But when you're drawing, this is how you can measure to get the proportions right. Okay? All right, so her lips. Yep, just a little more than the bottom lip is just a little more than an eye length from the bottom of her nose. And her chin, she doesn't have a super big chin or anything. A little chin, just a little less than. And so like about here. A little less than the width of her eye. Right? So, and how does this relate? I think she's got to the edge of her head, she's got like a full eye length. Right? And this is where everyone's going to be a little different. It's not quite the same over here, right? It's just a little less, right? And let's do a measurement of her head. So this is her chin, bottom, and the top of her head. So let's fold and let's see where she is. I'm going to measure top to bottom. Just do a quick little fold. Yep. If she's looking down a little bit, her eye line is lower. So if you look at the Loomis method, throw some pictures of Loomis in this video so you understand how our proportions will move and change a little bit based on the positioning of our heads. But if we've got someone who's looking straight on at us, so maybe I can go grab this guy. We can't see the top of his head, but we can guess that it's about, because it's cut off in the photo. Okay, so let's say I measure Mr. Rowan Atkinson. So this is, yeah, I'm scribbling on his drawing. So let's measure his eyes. I'll go a little lower so I can see them better. Okay, so there's his eye. The width between the eyes and the next eye, it's the same. Base from the edge of his face. He's literally like half an eye, isn't he? Yeah, on both sides. It's pretty even. And he's also looking down just sort of a little bit. So his ears are right at the top of his eyebrows in this case. Okay, what about that nose? It looks like a really long nose, doesn't it? So if this is his sort of eye line, so his nose goes from here. He's like an eye and a half, right? And if we go, then he's kind of looking down a little bit as well. It's hard to find a person looking straight at you, isn't it? The middle of his lips is basically half an eye. He's, you know, and his chin, smaller than an eye. Yeah, okay. So how does that translate when you want to do a drawing? A new scrap. So you generally decide where on the page you want to draw your face. I think I'm going to just try and go for same size or similar. Okay, so I'm going to go my top, and that's my chin in English. Okay. Oh, pretty good guess. All right. I'm going to draw lightly. Don't add pressure to your paper. Now, her eye line, not exactly in the center. Pretty close, but not quite. So I'm going to do this. Now there's something in our brain that says, oh, that's so wrong. The eyes can't possibly be here, but they are. And I'm going to draw a line because her face is angled perfectly horizontally in this picture. If it's angled, you can match the angle by drawing the angle. We're going simple here. Okay, so this is sort of her horizontal, vertically. So this will be the vertical measure. Okay, this is going to be the horizontal, as in like horizon. Somebody told me that. I always got them mixed up. I'm a little dyslexic and I mix some stuff up. So someone said the words horizon, like the horizon line where the sun comes up. But okay, I can remember that, and I do. It works. Okay, so her eye measurement. Her eye. So I know already, because I measured, and I can simply do this, that her eyes are pretty much the same. The distance between the two eyes is the same as this distance. So I know that if I want to put this in the center, so this is the center, the space between the eyes, I can mark these two. I can mark this. I know that this eye is slightly smaller, so I'm just going to make a mark here. Now, the measurement to get here. So her face ends at like 3/4, and then her ear literally ends at the distance of her eye, right? Okay. So how's things going on this side? I believe it's a full eye. Yep, full eye. Got that measurement. Okay. And then it's like half an eye to the edge of her ear. So that's when you can go draw an eye. You remember that her eyes are kind of on a bit of an angle. Now when I draw these eyes, I'm looking at this shape, this little triangle, this little triangle. Help me find the shape. Get her little eyelids. Now we're not really seeing her brow, it's kind of under her hair. That's okay. So then we can start looking at the shapes. She's got, so it's like, this is like a shape. Okay. There's sort of a little triangle happening here. There's some hair coming in here. You start looking for all the little shapes. And you know that this little ear thing pops up like this. Shapes in here. So this is like, want to get the size of the pupils right. You keep looking at the shapes. Shadow lines happening. Just like a little shape. Not in the center. It's like shape. A nice simple little hairstyle. If it looks wrong, check your measurements again as many times as you feel like you need to. Okay, so this gets me this far, right? I've got positioning. I'm not going too crazy with details yet. Okay. Okay, so I want to go from, try not to get my head in the shot again. So this is the center. So she's an eye. That's where my pencil is now. That's the end of the eye measurement to about the middle. Okay. Eye measurement. Middle. Okay, so that's the middle of her nose. Okay, so now what? Where does the nose lines up? Right with the edge of her eyes. Then we know to seek the shapes. Oh, sort of teardroppy nose there. Okay, so now what about her mouth? So the bottom of her lip is a little bit below there, below the length of her eye, right? Just a little bit. So where's the top? It's like about a third. So this would be like, these are thirds, right? So I'd say a third. Okay, and so where are her lips ending here? Her lips aren't super wide, and that's her in a little bit of a smile, right? So most of us would be out here, right? She is about, kind of matches up with the round of her eye. And you can draw all these lines very lightly, and then you can draw the shape of her mouth within your measurement. And if you think you get it wrong, that's fine because you're drawing very lightly. Mimic that, and it kind of gets my. All right, and then she's got these cute little. Okay, so what about her chin? We've got that chin measurement there. We've got the edge of her face already sorted out, so we just have to draw her in. So we're getting an outline. We're getting there, right? There's these little shades in here you can include. She's got more of a pointy chin than I have so far. So you keep refining it. I do this. I'm very scribbly when I draw until I get it. And if I make too much of a mess, I just erase it. And then keep going. She's got this lovely face there. Goes in a little more this way, I would say. And where her ears are, where do they match up? Below, so that's one eye length. probably one eye length and like just a little bit, right? So where's my eye length and my little bit? So that gets me to the bottom of my ears. And then you just look for all the little shapes. So this is kind of like a triangle in there, out a little bit. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and like and share with anyone who you think might want to draw along with us. Where's her neck start? Some people have very wide necks, come out from here. Hers is quite tiny. You can line things up with what you see. So it's past the edge of her eye over here, but you're basically measuring against all the shapes right here on this side. And it's kind of a nice curve like this. These little shapes, create all the shadows. So that basically is how you use your eye to measure the proportions of a face. So it's a little scribbly, but I think you can kind of see how we got it. We can go in, you can refine it, all that stuff. I'll put this picture up so you can come grab it and you can draw the gorgeous Taylor Swift. Yeah, so there's all these little shapes in here you can then find. And very subtle. She's a young face, so not a whole ton of features. If you're really new to portrait drawing, I suggest you look for a mature face, because when you're measuring, you have more shapes besides sort of measuring against an eye, but you have more little shapes in a face, more features to measure from. So like her nose is very subtle. Maybe the next face we'll do a nice mature face, and you guys can maybe tell me who you want to do. There. Measuring. With the eye as proportion.